I'm Teisha Bader with Shalom TV's news update for Monday, August the 26th, 2013. The Times of Israel reports that the Palestinian Authority has canceled peace talks with Israeli negotiators after clashes today between Palestinians and the IDF that left 3 Palestinians dead. Israeli border police had gone to the Kalandia refugee camp near Ramallah to arrest a terror suspect early this morning and were attacked by hundreds of Palestinian rioters, resulting in deadly clashes in which 3 rioters were reportedly killed. Video images from the scene show 2 IDF jeeps being ambushed by Palestinians who threw large rocks and other heavy items at the force from surrounding rooftops and the ground. The Times of Israel cited Border Police spokesman Shai Hakimi, who said the Border Police force was attacked by over 1,500 Palestinians who also used firebombs, and that IDF soldiers who rushed to the scene to help the force opened fire when they felt their lives were in imminent danger. IDF military spokesman Lieutenant Colonel Peter Lerner said large violent crowds such as this, which significantly outnumber security forces, leave no other choice but to resort to live fire in self-defense. PA officials condemned the killing, calling them crimes. The wanted terror suspect was arrested and taken in for questioning. Spokesman for Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas, Nabil Abu Radene, hinted that the peace talks could be in danger as a result of this morning's incident, saying there is going to be negative repercussions to these acts, and he called on the U.S. to intervene. Peace negotiations between Israel and the Palestinians were reportedly set to take place in Jericho today, possibly at the home of Chief Palestinian negotiator Saeb Erekat. Meanwhile, more clashes erupted between the IDF and Palestinians later today at the funerals of the 3 Palestinians who were killed in the Kalandia incident. During the funerals, masked members of the Al-Aqsa Martyrs Brigade began to fire in the air, and dozens of Palestinians hurled stones and firebombs at IDF forces at the Kalandia checkpoint. The IDF responded with crowd dispersal means. No injuries were reported as of yet. Syrian President Bashar Assad's former propaganda minister's aide Khalif al-Mufta said Israel would be targeted should his country be attacked by the U.S. He said, "We have strategic weapons and we can retaliate. Essentially, the strategic weapons are aimed at Israel." Al-Muftala said if the U.S. or Israel err through aggression and exploit the chemical issue, the region will go up in endless flames, affecting not only the area's security, but the world's. Assad continues to deny allegations that his regime in fact used chemical weapons on its own people last week, and also warned the U.S. against any military intervention. Meanwhile, Israelis are taking precautions amid the Syrian conflict. Requests by Israeli citizens for gas mask kits have quadrupled in recent days, according to Israeli media, who say that Israeli citizens have been visiting post offices throughout the country to pick up their ABC or atomic biological chemical protective kits over fears of the threat of a chemical weapon attack from Syria or Iran. About 60% of Israelis already are in possession of gas masks. And Syrians injured in the country's civil war continue to be evacuated to and treated in Israel. The Western Galilee Hospital in Nahariya is currently treating 2 Syrian patients in their 20s who were wounded in the ongoing violence. They're both said to be in moderate condition. Israel's Minister of Religious Affairs Naftali Bennett announced yesterday that a temporary platform for non-Orthodox prayer was built at Robinson's Arch, adjacent to the Western Wall Plaza, intended to serve as, quote, an interim but primary place of worship for Jewish egalitarian and pluralistic prayer services. Bennett said the platform was built in conjunction with the Prime Minister's office and Jewish Agency Chairman Natan Sharansky, who was asked last year by Prime Minister Netanyahu to find a solution to the issue of prayer at the holy site. The platform stands at 4,800 square feet and can hold about 450 people. It does not reach the Western Wall itself, though a ramp leads to a smaller area adjacent to the wall. The Women of the Wall group, who've been fighting for the equal rights of women to pray at the site, said the platform plan, quote, is the very definition of separate and not nearly close to equal. And several members of the group began a 24-hour sit-in at the wall last night in protest of the arrangement. Organizations here in the U.S. also reacted to Bennett's move. The Union for Reform Judaism released a statement saying the temporary platform unveiled today by Minister of Religious Affairs Naftali Bennett is a gesture of goodwill, but it is, at best, a very small step forward in the implementation of the full plan for full Jewish equality at the Kotel. Were it to be the first and last step regarding the Kotel, it would create a painful and unnecessary conflict within the Jewish people. The reform movement urged the Prime Minister's office to maintain its commitment to the Sharansky proposal, which calls for a major expansion of the Robinson Arch area. Sharansky also called the temporary platform a gesture of goodwill today. Executive Vice President of the Conservative Movement's Rabbinical Assembly, Rabbi Julie Schoenfeld, said that although serious questions remain to be answered regarding the final government proposals for non-Orthodox prayer at the Western Wall, the fact that the Robinson's Arch area had been improved as a place of prayer was a positive step. She told the Jerusalem Post the conservative movement has been seeking equality for non-Orthodox denominations at the Western Wall for a long time, and this is still the goal. Further saying the situation at the Western Wall is a symptom of the larger struggle for religious equality in Israel, which we will continue to work toward. And Netanyahu's office released a statement today saying the committee appointed by Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to examine the issue has yet to finish its work. When it does, its recommendations will be submitted to the Prime Minister. And staying with the holy site, with the approach of the Jewish New Year, maintenance workers at the Western Wall cleaned out the many prayer notes left by countless tourists and dignitaries who visited the site. The notes are taken to the Mount of Olives for burial as per tradition. Jews began the practice of placing notes in the cracks of the Western Wall back in the 18th century. A Torah scroll that had been hidden in a monastery in Poland since 1942 has been returned to the synagogue it was rescued from. The Torah had been brought to the monastery in Tuchow, Poland, about 60 miles from Krakow, by an anonymous person who asked the Redemptorist priest there to hold them until the synagogue, which was consistently attacked, once again became a place of prayer. Father Kazimierz Pitorowski of the Redemptorist Monastery in Warsaw told the Catholic News Agency after the war, for many years the synagogue was systematically devastated. The Torah, he said, was thus kept in a monastery in Tuchow. During World War II, the Germans turned the Dąbrowa Tarnowska synagogue into a workshop. Over the past few years, the building was renovated. It is now the House of Cultures in Poland. Following the building's dedication, the Redemptorists decided to donate the Torah scroll there, and in 2010, the mayor of Dąbrowa gave the scroll to conservationists, and today it can be seen in the prayer hall of the former synagogue. And finally today, several Jewish organizations participated in the national commemoration of the 50th anniversary of the 1963 March on Washington for Racial Equality, where the late civil rights leader Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. gave his historic I Have a Dream speech. The commemoration held this weekend at the Lincoln Memorial was attended by many Jewish organizations, including the Union for Reform Judaism, whose president Rick Jacobs spoke at the opening prayer service. Jacobs said it was vital to remember not only King's dream, but to continue to fight. He said this is the season of the Jewish New Year when we sound the shofar, the ram's horn. It is sounded to awaken us from a slumber, to hear the cries of those in pain, and to build a better world for all. Let the shofar, he said, awaken our nation to carry on Dr. King's legacy, that we may at last transform the jangling discords of our nation into a beautiful symphony of brotherhood. The American Jewish Committee Director of Interreligious and Intergroup Relations, Rabbi Noam Marantz, also addressed the service, delivering remarks on racial reconciliation. The AJC is an official partner for the overall commemoration and a host for the worship service. AJC Executive Director David Harris said memorializing the dramatic march and Reverend King's speech has special meaning for AJC. Our organization enjoyed a long-standing relationship with Dr. King going back to the early days of the civil rights movement, when we worked closely in the cause of human equality and human dignity. Harris said King's legacy lives on, and while previously unimaginable progress has been made, there was much work to be done to fulfill the vision of a nation where all are judged not by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. And that's Shalom TV's news update for Monday, August the 26th, 2013. I'm Teisha Bader.